Okay guys, we have been talking about making this video for months now.
And as today is our 3-year anniversary,
Yay!
There's no better time.
We're going to reveal the cost of living in our camper and compare that to the cost of living in the UK right now.
People automatically assume that living in a van is so much cheaper than living in a house. But is it? What happens when you throw in all the costs?
Insurances, breakdowns, maintenance, travel expenses, and general living costs?
It might not be as close as we think.
Being the organised people that we are, we've done you a good service because we've been tracking
Every single penny that we spent on our previous 9-month trip.
so that we can do this comparison for you.
So whether you're team house life or team van life, we really hope that this gives you a full, well-rounded view.
Of what the cost of living in a camper and travelling full-time actually looks like.
Some people might find it eye-wateringly expensive.
Others really cheap.
This is just our version of it.
Okay, before we get into the breakdown, we split our costs into 3 categories.
Monthly travel costs, direct debits, and one-off purchases.
So let's get into it.
We should really get back to this, actually. Right, first off is annual one-off costs. These are things that we have to pay for so we can live in a van. Now, for the purposes of this comparison, we've taken anything that we pay for once or annually and split that cost over 9 months. So hopefully it's quite fair. Right, if I'm looking to the left, it's because there's a laptop. I don't keep all of these things in my head. I'm not that clever. In this category, we've got van insurance for Europe, van insurance for Turkey, travel insurance for the whole year, MOT and service, 12-month road tax, and then we've got all of our ferries and Eurotunnels that we spent over the 9-month period, because we don't include those in our monthly budget. So the total cost for this first category is a whopping £2,878.53. I mean, is it whopping? Is that expensive? Tag in.
Okay, we decided that we were going to swap in and out so that you guys aren't staring at each of our faces for way too long. Especially makes us because, you know. The next category that we've got is regular direct debits. So this is stuff that we pay for every single month, like most people. Phone bills, van Wi-Fi, tracker for the van, Netflix, all the important stuff. Which is a total across the 9 months of £1,241.73. We don't really have that many regular direct debits, I don't think. Joys of van life. Back to Meeks.
That'll make it old quick, yeah. So our third category. This is our monthly travel costs. Now, I'm going to break this down from just one general cost into small subsections so we can see where our money's gone. Bloody flies! Diesel costs. We drove over 9,000 miles on this trip, and the total cost for our diesel on the trip was £1,929.92. The reason that those 9,000 miles were so cheap is because we spent 5 months in Turkey, where it started off at 50p a litre, and when we left after that 5-month period, it was still only £1 a litre. One of the benefits of van life is that you can drive to countries where things like diesel and food are cheaper, so that's exactly what we did. It's also worth pointing out that our heating and hot water is done through a diesel heater as well, so the cost of our fuel there also includes that cost, but it's so efficient it barely uses any diesel to heat the van or heat our hot water.
Well, seeing as I'm the chef in the van and Meeks really has no idea where even the hob is, I thought I would do the food shopping category. In the whole 9-month period, we spent £1,671.58. That's only a monthly average of £185.73. Food costs vary widely all across Europe, and then especially in Turkey they grow a lot of their food. So it really does benefit to shop around. We shop in Lidl a lot of the time when we're away in Europe still, because it's a lot cheaper than a lot of the other supermarkets like Carrefour or Migros or wherever you are. And whilst I'm here, I'm actually just going to do the next category because it kind of ties in a lot to this, and you'll understand why our food shopping bill was so cheap. The next category is eating and drinking out. And we did that quite a lot. £1,559.93. Almost as much as eating inside the van. 50-50 balance? Is that what they call it in life? Maybe I'm just trying to convince myself. Now, if we're being completely honest, that number did shock us quite a lot. We didn't realise until we put the spreadsheet together that we'd eaten out that much. But we're trying to do better on this trip. The cost of living is higher in general for everyone, even us living in a van, so we're trying to improve. and be more inventive with the meals that we make inside the van.
This one's a bit of a broad one. We've classified it as travel. I will apologise for that, but it's general travel costs like tolls, campsites and SIM card data. We stay on campsites very little. I think over the whole trip it was probably about 5 or 6 nights. That's in 9 months. We love to wild camp and we've got enough solar on this van to make sure that we can work from wherever we are. The data is a big part of this. We had to get local SIM cards in every country we went to because of Brexit and the changes to roaming. Tolls is the other part of it. And tolls is not massive. In Turkey it's very cheap, and in Italy, which is where we did most of our other toll driving, still quite cheap. Nothing compared to what France is like. Anyway, the total cost for this travel category is £754.23, and I reckon about maybe 50% of that was on data.
Next up on monthly spending is treats and gifts. Now this basically is like what we call a personal allowance, so anyone has like a shopping budget, so stuff you want to buy for yourself for your hobbies and interests, and stuff that you buy for other people, whether it's Christmas or, you know, general loving gifts, because we're all lovely people. Now for us that's mainly camera gear and maybe clothes. For everyone else it might be something completely different. And it's quite a biggie. In the 9 months we spent £2,749.30. So we're obviously really generous people. Or just generous to ourselves. That's a good thing, right?
Next up, van maintenance. This one is one that van lifers across the globe will have to deal with. We drive our van around, things are going to break. Or when we were in Turkey, we got our bed remade, we had leaks in the roof, and we bought a few tools whilst we were on the road. £1,379.16. It's just part of the life that we lead. And if you live in a house, there's always things to maintain. Leaky boilers, broken taps, burst water pipes. I don't know, we don't live in one, so maybe you can tell us.
This one's not so fun to do, but it's breakdown, or breakdowns, plural. Sadly, it's a plural. In Greece, we broke down. Our clutch and flywheel needed completely replaced, as did our 4 brake pads and 2 brake discs. Then, when we got to Turkey, our clutch pedal then stuck itself to the floor, so we had to replace that and a couple of other parts. These things happen, but it is something that you have to budget for. We choose to have an emergency fund for that kind of stuff. And this cost also takes into account the hotels that maybe we had to stay in whilst the van was in the garage. Drumroll. £2,229.48. Tax in Greece was expensive.
One of our more crazy categories, full van respray. Now this is something that we didn't plan for, but when we were in Turkey, we went for it. That cost us £1,000, which is a pretty good price when you compare it to the UK prices, which are 3 or 4 times as much as that for a van this size. Winning!
Now I seem to be getting all of the negative ones here, and that doesn't seem fair, but this category is something that we hope that no one else really has to put on their list. We had a crash during that 9-month period. It was with a wild donkey that walked out into the road, and 25 pieces on the front end of the van needed completely replaced. Thankfully it was all bodywork, nothing mechanical, but it was very horrific. We did have insurance for Turkey, and if you've been here since the start of the video and you didn't skip forward just to get to the juicy bit, proud of you. So we did have that covered, and they did pay out for all of the fixes, but what they didn't cover is the tow truck, the accommodation that we had to stay in, the taxis to and from, the mechanics to go and check in on how work was going. That was just stuff that we had to cover ourselves. And also the excess, which was about 500 quid. So if you ever crash into a donkey in Turkey, now you know it's going to cost you around £1,613.38. By this point, our emergency fund was getting pretty low.
We're on the home stretch. Well done for getting this far. I'm going to go through these last 3 really quickly. So, sightseeing. This is abysmal from us. We only spent £222.11 on seeing things over 9 months. Next, laundry. This makes us sound disgusting, but again, we only spent £68.80 on doing laundry. Caveat, we did do a load of hand washing when we were in Turkey, because it was easy and warm, and we stayed in Airbnbs and things like that where we could do all our laundry for free-ish. Final category, miscellaneous, because we can't categorize it into anything else. This is £144, so you can kind of just disregard that over 9 months.
Now for the totals. Okay, let's do this quickly because I really need a wee now.
So, I have the laptop of joy. So all categories combined, £15,971.78.
Over 9 months? Is that bad? Tell us in the comments whether you think that's a good amount or too much.
Yeah, if you live in a van, tell us. If you live in a house, tell us.
Not including the respray and the crash costs, because those are not things that most people will have to consider in their cost of living budget. So for the total, we've taken those out. But we're just always useful for you to know them.
So we've been trying to be really smart and clever. We've done some online research and we found the average cost of living for a couple that living in Manchester, which is kind of close to where we were in Leeds. So I think it's a nice comparison. So their 9-month total cost is
£21,429, including rent, utilities, all living costs, all in. So that means, to answer our question from the start, is van life cheaper than house life? It is, by over £5,000 over a 9-month period. So over a year, it would be even cheaper.
So that works out at like £600 a month cheaper. Now, obviously everyone's situation is completely different.
Yeah.
And this is just our example versus an online piece of information. But
we think we've done a pretty good job at comparing the cost of living, van life, house life. Go us!
So get in the comments. Tell us if this is anywhere accurate.
Do you live in Manchester as a couple? Is that your average cost of living?
So if you found this really useful, or even just a bit useful, please hit the like button because it really helps the video and it helps our channel. And if you like what we're about and you've watched a couple of videos but you're not yet subscribed, hit the subscribe button. And if you've made it this far, why not go and check out our Turkey playlist, which we'll link up here.
Thank you for coming along on this travel costs video, and we will see you on the next one.
We are going to it's all relative to your income and outcome. Outcome?
And we stopped in Syria. No, we didn't.
The first one is the juicy, lovely. Why not go and watch our Turkey? Just pointing in your face. I'll do it again.
You pick me nose.
I'll do it again.